I'm here now.
There's a little red light behind you that we're just waiting for. Nope. Yep. Okay, we're on.
Good evening, everybody. Just came out of non-public, and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that the minutes to the non-public remain sealed until such time as the majority of the board feels it is wise and prudent to unseal them.
Second.
Discussion?
My only friendly amendment would be non-public under RSA 91A 32A and 2C.
Jim, you accept that friendly amendment?
Yes.
Okay, I second
Okay.
the amendment.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve the Selectmen's non-public and public meeting minutes dated September 18th, 2018.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd also move to approve the Selectmen's non-public and public minutes dated September 24th, 2018.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And I'd also move to approve the Selectmen's public meeting minutes dated September 27th, 2018.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we'll move down to scheduled business. A, new fire rescue station, project update.
Second.
Okay. The fire station is still basically getting to be under the punch list items. Not much has changed since last week. The driveway's been paved. And the project manager's not here tonight to give you the specific details. So we'll move on to B, AT&T Firstnet presentation.
Hi, my name is Lisa Benincasa, and I work with AT&T Firstnet. I have a team here with Fong. Want to stand up and introduce yourselves?
Can you come up to the microphone, please?
I'm one of the business acquisitions seller for state of New Hampshire, cover Hillsborough and Rockingham County, as well as Suffolk County, Massachusetts.
Hi everyone, my name's Ryan Clark. I handle external affairs for AT&T and I cover New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont. Thanks for having us.
So thank you for having us today. I'm here to talk about FirstNet and what it's here to do for public safety. I just have a quick slideshow for you, but if you have any questions, I'd really just call them out and I'll answer them as they go. So let me just start here. Hold on. All right, so, well, just to start off, I guess, because the pictures are there, this is the response that happened in Lawrence, Mass, that you guys were part of that response team. So I just wanted to show you a few pictures that were there. This is called a cow. It's a cell on wheels, and this is actually your cow that's located in New Hampton, New Hampshire, and this was part of the opt-in. So this is deployed for any kind of activities that needs more capacity at like locations. If there's an ice storm or a tornado, these things can get rolled out to that location and build up capacity until that tower is back online. And this is just some of the pictures that were there, some of the response teams, and then again. So I just want to start with the history of FirstNet. FirstNet came from 9/11 with all the communications that went down that day. There was no fire and EMS, and police could not talk to each other. So, from that, they decided to go forward with the FCC and the 9/11 commissions and do a recommendation as to how can public safety talk to each other and what can happen from that. So in 2012, the middle class tax relief fund came together, and they actually created an authority called Firstnet Authority. And from that, Firstnet Authority was born. And what is FirstNet is basically, it's made up of public safety people And they went out to every single state and they asked public safety, police, fire, EMS, and asked them what they needed for like all communications. So what they said was they needed to be able to talk to each other on a separate network, because when they talk to each other on the same network and it goes down, then they can't have any communications. So they took all that back and they created like an RFP, and through that RFP, they asked for people to come in and respond to build the Band 14 network. The Band 14 is basically is the frequency of network that Firstnet was approved to have, and that's all for public safety. So the Band 14 is only for public safety people. It gives you a higher propagation into buildings. It's a better frequency, and you can ride above everyone else on that frequency. So they asked everyone to come to the table and say, how would you build Band 14 nationwide to build this nationwide network? And so AT&T came to the table and said, hey, we can build this network, and while we're building it, we'll give you the entire $180 billion network that we have, and until the Band 14 is built throughout this, like basically throughout the United States, you can use that entire network for your for all your first responders. And that's how we won the contract. And then with that contract, we are held at a higher, basically, they make us adhere to all these rules and regulations, which is, we have to have 99.99% uptime, we have to have 97.99% of geographic coverage for population, and we have to adhere to that and give feedback as to the growth of the network and the health of the network. And so that's what we've agreed to do, and it was opted in for all 50 states and 6 territories, so it is a true nationwide network. It is basically the biggest public-private network that we have right now. We're offering our complete capacity of our network to first responders, and we are actually putting in $40 billion of our own money to build out this network, and Firstnet is bringing to the table about $7 billion, and that's across the country. So QPP is the quality of service. It establishes the maximum amount of capacity. So basically, it gives you priority and preemption on the network. Basically, Firstnet is a nationwide broadband LTE network. And when things like the Boston Marathon happened, I was at the command post, basically, you lost all communications for about 45 minutes, 45 to an hour, and basically you couldn't talk to anyone on your cell phone because everyone took out their phones and was calling their relatives and making sure everyone's all right, and they're FaceTiming and videotaping, so you lost all that network coverage. So this would allow you to have that capacity in something like that happens. It's always on, it's always available, and this will give you that capacity to say, that would put you at first over the top of the network, as well as preempt users off the network so that it can just expand. It can expand that network for your use. Basically, this is what it would look like. So this is a normal day. Everyone's driving down the highway. There's actually no incidents happening. Everything's going well. And so what happens is, say a fire or there's a car accident, people, their first responders are showing up to the scene. There's more data use now. People are getting on their phones. People are videotaping. And so it's causing some congestion on the network. So what happens is it dynamically expands that network for you, all the first responders to utilize that network. And in case something like the Boston Marathon happened, this is exactly what it would look like. It would start to preempt all those users off the network and give you guys the full capabilities of our entire network. You guys have any questions about that? So with that, basically, we would never preempt a 911 call. It would always go through. And FirstNet is recognized through a SIM card. So any kind of device that takes the SIM card can be a FirstNet device. So if you are on your phone, it could be any phone. It could be a Samsung, an iPhone, an iPad, MDTs, video cameras. It could be any of those devices. And if it takes a SIM card, it can give you priority preemption over your data and your voice and your texting. And that's kind of what FirstNet is about. So during these kinds of events, you guys will always have access. And you guys don't have to call into a WPS number or a GETS number because it's always on. You wouldn't know if it was a bad day or a good day at that time because it was always working. As you guys join FirstNet, basically, you would join into a portal, like you would have access to a portal, and this is where you would credential your officers to get their own devices. You also have the capability of seeing the health of the network, which is not what any other carrier can provide. You actually can see if towers are down, if there's capacity issues, if the generators are low, if they're low in fuel. You can actually see the health of the entire network here. It shows you weather alerts, traffic alerts. You can utilize the FirstNet applications that they offer, but you can put your own applications on here, but you can see who's on the network and who's not. This is a great capability of actually seeing what your devices are doing and what kind of capacity you have in your town. So the other thing with this is like when you have a portal, when you credential your users, like a chief would have to credential your users, and that would give them the capability of going out and getting a FirstNet device on their own, because we understand that not everybody gets an agency-paid device. So if you don't have an agency-paid device, but you're still a first responder because you're still responding to fires and you're either a volunteer or that you're at a mall and there's an active shooter, you're still gonna respond. So what's gonna happen is if you have the capability of getting credentialed, you can go to a store, or we can have people come in and you can get a FirstNet device at the rate that the government offers you. So right now in New Hampshire, it's $39.99 for agency-paid devices. You get that unlimited talk, text, and data. The only difference between agency side and subscriber side would be the cost of the device. So the cost of the device for agency side is around 99 cents for that certain device that's on your contract, whereas like a subscriber-paid one would have to go through that process of what they would do at any other store, where you'd have to either lease the equipment or buy it outright.
So just want to kind of elaborate on what Lisa mentioned about, so FirstNet break down to like the 3 different components. So we have the primary agency pay, which is fire, PD, EMS, and EMA for the agency pay phone. The extended primary also break down to like public, DPW, CD, school, hospital, transportation, utility company. So extended primary fall underneath of, they will get priority, but it needs to be uplifted by the primary agency pay. So whether it's fire department, police department, or an EMS. So for instance, like that incident happened, you guys may have like some utility company come in, take for example, like the situation from Lawrence and Andover a couple weeks ago. So when that things happen, when the transportation needs to communicate with the first responders, what they do, they don't have the priority preemption that built into their portal. So they will need the primary agency to go into the portal and uplift them. So that's the extended primary. The subscriber pay is, we mentioned earlier, so let's just say it's a lot of individual volunteer firefighters that are not getting the phone through an agency paid phone. But what we do is those individuals are classified as a first responder. They can get a subscriber pay, which is also like a FirstNet, everything folded into the same exact thing, what Lisa just went through. But this is gonna be under their personal account. So it's not agency pay phone, it's under personal account. The monthly service, the rate is the same exact thing. For the iPhone 7, for instance, Lisa mentioned earlier, agency pays 99 cents. For subscriber pay, that phone is about $500. So the breakdown is whether you can be able to pay it up all at once, or you can do it in installment. So the installment usually you get 24 months or 30 months. So whatever the cost of the device is, it break it down for 24 or 30 months, including your monthly service on top of it. So that's what the subscriber pay
Right.
come down to.
And that's in case you guys can offer stipends, and that way that stipend can go to the first responder that doesn't get an agency side phone.
Question I have, if we have like the ice storm, we had no cell service in this town for days,
Correct.
and that was all over New Hampshire and Massachusetts.
Yep.
How do we all get cell service? Do you have enough trucks to get all throughout New England to be able to give us cell service in an emergency like that?
So during that type of emergency, we can actually call in colts or cows from different parts of like you can get one from Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Vermont. They all have one of those colts and cows. and you can actually access those to come up. And just like the Carolinas or Puerto Rico, we have, like, this is the next slide. So, the existing assets that we have currently is 120 assets, and that's just the commercial side. And those are all the assets that we sent down to Puerto Rico, into Texas, into Florida, and now to the Carolinas. But additionally to those existing emergency response teams that right there, we have an additional 72 of those assets available. So you guys up here in like the New England states have, like, everyone has one of those. So you can access that as well as pulling them in from different locations. So that's how it would come out with, like, you know, the ice storms or the wind storms that we had last year. We had a lot of wind storms. I actually live in North Andover. I think about 8 days out of service. So, you know, I mean, that's a lot. So, you know, when you guys are out of electricity, then obviously the towers are down, right? So you have to either keep filling up the generators, or you have to bring in these colts and cows and build up that capacity at that time. So with New Hampshire, you can access that through the Department of Public Safety. If you need to request a colt or a cow, you would go through that request process through John Stevens' office, and they would decide, I guess, where that existing colt will go first, or the cow would go first, and then it would just fall in line that way. But also, additionally to the cow that you guys have in New Hampton, you also have 2 vehicles located, one in the southern New Hampshire, I think, I don't know where they decided to put it yet, but in one in the northern parts, as far as outfitting those command vehicles with FirstNet equipment. So you'll also have that capability of pulling in those command vehicles as well during those times. So security of the network, obviously, so FirstNet and AT&T are separate, okay? So AT&T is the commercial side, FirstNet is the first responder side. And you have to realize that FirstNet is its entire own core. It's completely separate than AT&T. So when you guys ride on FirstNet, as your phones indicate that you guys are a first responder, you guys will ride on that FirstNet core, and it's completely separate than the commercial user. You guys have a different SOC and NOC. You guys are encrypted separately. There's all different ways that you can use encryption for, like, identity theft and stuff like that. So this is all built on the FirstNet side. It's all for you guys. You also have a 24-hour customer service number that you would call in, separate from the commercial users. So the 800 number that you guys would call into would be separate than what you would call in for a commercial user, because who's going to be responding to you would be either retired first responders or IT specialists that deal with first responders, and you're not waiting in line for my kids asking why Fortnite's not working on their phone. Well, you guys are trying to get access to your network. So if you guys call into this separate number, you guys will always be a high priority ticket. So it's completely separate, SOC and NOC. Again, like we talked about some of the devices that are capable for FirstNet. Right now, there are a couple band 14. Again, we talked about band 14 meaning that frequency, which is like it's actually a radio inside your phone, which can call out to the band 14 frequencies. The S9 is a band 14. Those devices on the table are band 14. The iPhone 10 is going to be a band 14 capable device. But even though they're not all band 14 devices that you have available today, because we're expanding our entire network to you, you can still be a FirstNet user, because what's going to be indicated is through your SIM card. So when you have a SIM card that says that you're a first responder, then you'll have access to the network. And this is only for AT&T. This is not for any other carrier. You'd have to be an AT&T subscriber to utilize FirstNet. But these are all the different devices. You have hotspots, you have MDTs, cradle points, all things that you guys use currently probably in your trucks. Wearables, racks. So, again, like Fong mentioned that we have a couple of different priorities. So we have like the FirstNet primary users, which is police, fire, EMS, and EMA. So if you guys have a town manager that's in charge of response teams, then they would be eligible for FirstNet. If you guys have an ambulance company that services your area, they'd be eligible for FirstNet. DPW, plow truck guys, utilities, schools, like principals in schools, because they're active shooters, they would be eligible for FirstNet. Dedicated for, we talked about this, this is basically your 24-hour, 7 days a week, customer service care for you guys, that's just there. We also have so in case that ice storm does happen, there is a place to call into for that number and say, listen, I'm a FirstNet user, this is my user ID, I need help. And they can actually elevate that to the next status and try to call in different, like different assets to you guys, as well as elevate it up to the state and like help you facilitate that. So they're there to help too. So it's not like you're on your own and trying to get in touch with the state because they're answering to 20 other different towns. This is also for you as well, for disaster recoveries. The other thing that we offer too is push to talk. I know that some of these guys have probably seen the push to talk, but push to talk is like the old Nextel. So I don't know if you guys remember the Nextel days where you can just, click on your phone and call over. This is like Nextel on steroids. So this actually gives you the opportunity to have multiple users, like multiple talk groups. You can have one-on-one talk groups. You can have supervisory override. So in case you just need like another way to talk to somebody offline, now this doesn't go against your data. It doesn't go against your phone service. It's completely encrypted. You could talk to someone offline. So this is like you saying, like the fire chief saying, hey, call me on my phone. Like instead of over the radio, they say, call me on my phone. They could actually do this on their phone like this and just push to talk. It also gives you, I don't know if you guys have like GPS locations. I don't know if you guys use that here, but this can give you like locations of your first responders. If you're doing a search and rescue, you can set up a perimeter so that you can see where people are coming in and out of that perimeter. It looks just like this. You just press a button and you can call somebody on your contact list. You can upload a bunch of contacts through your phone. It's pretty dynamic. The other thing that you can do through this is send text messages, videos, photos. So you can actually be at a scene, like an accident, and you can take a picture of the scene and send it back to your dispatchers and say, look send more units, or send more ambulances, or this is what happened. Like, look there's actually ice on the ground, or there's a fire here. So you could actually send this stuff, and it's all encrypted, and you can send it back and keep it part of your report that you have. This is the geolocation stuff that you can do for search and rescue. You can use it for just, locating people. If they didn't call you back on their radio, you can find them that way. It gives you those kind of opportunities. It gives you good situational awareness of where all your people are. The next thing is push to talk over your radio. So this is what Rockingham County is doing right now, the Sheriff's Department. They're doing this, it's radio over IP, so it's called a ROIP kit. And what it does is, you would have a donor mobile, and you would attach it to a locality box, and it could repeat your radio. Whatever's going on in your radio, you can send it out to your phones. So this can expand your radio system outside the footprint. So, this is not to replace a radio system, but this is to enhance and augment it to places that you might not have radio coverage, like a school or a hospital, or places that you can actually access Wi-Fi, but you can't use your radio inside those buildings. So this can augment some of that talking and giving orders and finding your people that way. So it's a really good tool to have. I came from the radio world, so I know that the radios don't work everywhere, and once you leave that footprint, you really can't call back until you get back into your perimeter. And the other thing is that it's capable of, if you ever left the state or left the area, you can call back to your city and town and talk to them during a disaster, like the North Andover crisis that happened there. If you're like at a conference and you're not there, but you're the chief and you need to still talk to them, you can call back on this and talk to them and listen to everything that's going on. So I think it's a really good tool to have. So Rockingham County is doing that right now. And this is all the other, it actually has an integrated console so that you can create almost like a mobile command unit with your laptop. So say you came on scene and you want to pull up your laptop and you want to talk and create talk groups on the fly. So again, like the Lawrence thing, you guys all show up and you don't have the same radio frequencies, or it just takes too long to program all your radios, you could set up a talk group just for that, like, disaster, so that you came into the command center and you put your phone numbers all in there, and all of a sudden, like a talk group would populate. And this is what they used in the California fires, when people came to help out and they didn't have their own radios, they would use this kind of technology on those XP8s. So, and that's kind of what FirstNet's about. And so the other opportunity is that Derry is now using this. So they said that when they have Pinkerton, all the kids would leave their school, right? All these kids get on their phones immediately as soon as they walk out. They said they would lose cell service about an hour. So it doesn't have to be a disaster to have some coverage issues that you're having. They said that when they went over to FirstNet, they had no more problems getting on their phones or their devices because they were on FirstNet. So,
Part of the reason Lisa mentioned is because the congestion level. So there's, like she mentioned, there's over 3,000 kids. So every day at 2:50, when all these kids release, all the PD's cell phone communication completely shut down. So they were trying to compete with each other. So as soon as they joined the FirstNet, now they got a priority and preemption. That's how they're gonna roll in. The other thing that Lisa mentioned about the push-to-talk app, so the Vocality box, that thing's not only work on the LTE, 4G LTE cellular network, but it also work on Wi-Fi. So even though you travel outside the country, but you connect to the Wi-Fi, you can able to communicate back with your dispatch station or with the user, like she mentioned about it.
Right.
So everything is encrypted,
yeah, and it's like, there is no Canadian roaming for FirstNet, so if you ever touch the border and you're getting hit with charges for Canadian roaming, you actually don't have to pay for those charges, and there's no throttling. I know that there were some issues with Verizon throttling some fire departments out in California. Again, I know from some police departments that I know that use cameras for drug counter surveillance, that they would get throttled about 10 days into their surveillance, and it would be like a still camera. So there's no throttling on FirstNet. So, any other questions?
So do you have to switch out your phone if you're Verizon? I think we're all Verizon. Do we have to buy a new AT&T phone?
Yes, because the Verizon has a different, like a CDMA, it's a different technology than we have. So you would have to switch out just so that you'd have the advantages of all that AT&T has to offer. So,
And how do you
But-
compare that to Verizon's NAPSO?
what is it for their,
The NAPSO, that's it, they're saying.
NASPO?
Their FirstNet,
NASPO contract?
NAPSO, SO.
Oh, well, Verizon didn't bid on the contract. They never built a FirstNet. Their decision is best effort, right? So if they don't work, they're not held accountable like we are from the feds. So we're held accountable to all the standards that they set forth, and we have to pay fines if we don't adhere to them. So they can say that we're gonna do it, like they didn't throttle the fire department, but they did. So, you can compare maybe plans, but you really can't compare the network because this is built for first responders.
So the one thing that Lisa mentioned earlier too is, so the throttling, Verizon right now after that incident, they literally stated on their statement is, as long as you don't go over 25 gigabyte for 3 consecutive months, you're not gonna get throttled. So that being said, if you hit 25 gig 3 consecutive months, you're gonna get throttled. So that's still happening on there. And the other thing too, this is the 25-year contract with AT&T. So our first 5 years for the build out, we're already in year number 2. So we got 3 more years to complete the build out, and then 20 years to manage this whole entire network.
And for New Hampshire, you guys got, because you guys were the last state to opt in, you guys came to the table and you got 48 new sites, right? So 34 brand-new towers, and the additional 12 was basically just to build a new Band 14 on those towers, and then we bought additional 12 towers in the Northern Territory and added voice data in Band 14 up there. So we are probably, I would say, 70% done in New Hampshire today. And we're thinking that we should be completely done. You guys have great service down here in southern New Hampshire, but northern New Hampshire was lacking significantly in coverage, and we understand that. So we're probably about, I think we have probably about 12 to 15 months left on that build for the northern part of New Hampshire. So,
Just want to mention really quick quickly, on these two websites, when you guys access to the website, please ignore the pricing on it, because the state, the state of New Hampshire signed a statewide contract, which is the NASPRO agreement. So when you guys go into the firstnet.gov or the firstnet.com, you kind of see the pricing is like $60 for unlimited enhance. But for the state of New Hampshire, that pricing is actually $44.99. And the other one is at $50 for unlimited talk, text, and data. It's actually $39.99.
Right.
So just an FYI.
Yeah, and so we can come in and, what we normally do with agencies is we come into your agency and we look at what you have today, and we say, okay, this is what it would cost to move over to FirstNet. This is what we can do, and then we give you a comparison price as to what you guys are paying. Basically, our task is to at least beat Verizon's price. I mean, we're here to, build a network, but also cater to what you guys, you guys have budgets that you have to meet. So we just want to make sure that we're meeting your budgets, and we can come in here and show you what you can save based on what you're using today.
I think I'd be in favor of taking a look at something like that as a next step, just to see what we can do.
Okay.
And the other thing I just want to mention is too, because part of it is the support team. And, kind of go through the last several months, Lisa and I actually have a lot of meetings with entity and towns. One of the biggest asks was, or the biggest question was, the support locally. So not only Lisa and I on the FirstNet team to support like the agency pay, but we also have a lot of retail folks from, I came from the retail background, so I used to be in management
Right.
for AT&T since 2006. So we actually have a lot of folks in the retail able to support for subscriber pay level, as well as the personal account, consumer size as well too.
Yeah. So we can bring them in as well. Just to talk to your police officers, firefighters, EMS, whoever wants to talk to them about subscriber paid and moving their own personal devices over to save that kind of money, then they can do that as well.
I mean, not to put them on the spot, but the chiefs are here. Is that something that seems reasonable, at least to start to open the conversations and see what they can do for us and get some more data around possibilities without deciding tonight we're gonna.
No, I can pick you up and take you directly. I think Kingston's switching over, Exeter, at least in the
Yep.
process, Epping's in the process, Rockingham County Sheriff's in the process. There's a few others.
Yeah, Derry.
On the fire side.
Yep.
I'm speaking on the fire side, not on the PD side.
Yeah.
So we currently also working with Greenland PD, Manchester Fire,
Yeah, Manchester Fire.
right, Milford, the whole town of Milford with Jeff Marshall. We also be working with the Eversource utility company, actually based out in Manchester as well. Trying to name it, E911, we've been working with them.
Well, they're actually on
Right,
Lakes Region,
Lake Region, John Goldman is
Yeah.
already on FirstNet as well.
And we're-
Guilford.
and we're putting a cow at the Sandwich Fair next weekend, and giving them Band 14 devices just to use for so that they can have access to the network while they're working.
I think we should meet with all the department heads and see how it would work for the town of Newton.
But I think that's kind of what you're saying, right? Is a potential next step is you could go and meet with our department heads
Yep,
and see what they currently do and what
right.
we could
and-
possibly do. Just
and-
get a more defined picture of what we'd be
Right,
looking.
and they can see it, then we'd come back with a proposal as
Yeah.
to what, like, apples to apples on the pricing, and,
Yeah.
I know that you guys have probably MDTs in your cars, maybe Wi-Fi hotspots, iPads, whatever you're using for your departments. We can offset some of those costs, like we have activation credits, we have, what are the other things? The buyback program, so it actually ends up costing you no money, but making money on the end, where you can just kind of, in like 3 months, and you get all that money back
Mhm.
after you switch.
So, I know the gentleman has a question earlier about if you switch over to FirstNet, you have to go with an AT&T device. The answer is yes. However, Lisa mentioned about the iPhone 7. This brand new device is 99 cents. Now, if you're currently using the iPhone 6S, the buyback for that phone is almost like $100. So you get a brand new phone, the better devices for 99 cents, and you're able to get the credit back to your account for the old phone that you're gonna trade it in for $100 or more.
So, but we can certainly come and meet with each department and talk to them about their own individual plans as far as what the cost savings are.
Okay.
Works for me.
Anybody else have any other questions? Chiefs, any questions? Larry? EMD?
Good, no.
Okay, we can,
All right.
thank you.
Thanks. We don't need any motion or anything, we're just, it's further data gathering.
Well, they're gonna meet up,
Right, yeah. But I mean, do we want to put some sort of communication out to the department heads that's saying the Board of Selectmen has decided to get some information, so you're going to be contacted by the Firstnet folks, and please cooperate with them?
Yeah, we got their cards. I think that-
Yeah, it's just those two, right?
Well, I think it'd be highway, and
Highway?
also it could, basically, Diane, if you took the list you showed us last time, right?
Yep.
With all the people we're paying for, I think it's all of those, right? So it's all those
So what about like
departments.
the building department, where you give them a stipend? I don't,
Probably worth having a
If
conversation
they
with
fall
them.
in that category, though.
that's right, yeah. Then,
So I don't know, we're looking for opportunities for cost savings, so if the opportunity's there, then we want to find out, but if it's not, it's not.
right, when we want to let the principals, the schools know too, so they can sit in the
I
meeting?
did.
and- Is that,
I did notify them
The school,
and told them they could, more than welcome to come to the meeting tonight. So I did reach out to them.
okay.
so maybe they'll do a one-on-one meeting with
Yeah, we
these
can
guys.
definitely go
and-
and visit with whoever hasn't listened to the presentation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for waiting, I think we're a little late, so.
All right, we'll move to C, Fire Chief, move fire alarm monitoring system to cellular.
Good evening. I apologize. I heard Fire Chief talking to the sales reps.
So it's your recommendation to not move to cellular, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't realize we were going to have the discussion,
No,
sorry.
that was it.
Uh,
They wanted your recommendation.
All right, so this is, company came in at our last meeting, correct? That said that there was some deficiencies. We had some false alarms or alarms that didn't go off because we're not on cellular. And with the new VoIP or voice over IP system, they're recommending that we should go over cellular. This is why we reached out to you to say, is this something that we really need? And what happens if we don't? And how's it affect the fire department if we don't?
The letter that I read was a generic letter. If you read, it says residential and commercial. It wasn't exactly for the town of Newton. It was, in my opinion, more of a sales pitch. The town has a contract with that fire alarm company, so if technically they're not receiving fire alarms, which I don't know what town building they haven't received alarms on, because we haven't been notified. By code, we're supposed to be notified. So if you have a contract with said alarm company, and they're saying that they're receiving alarms, and they're not being notified, then I would find out what's in your contract, why you're not being notified. But again, the letter I read was just a generic letter saying that you should switch over to cellular. I can tell you, if you choose, especially the central fire station, 35, you're gonna put a brand-new fire alarm panel in. Again, code, once you touch in some of these buildings, the fire alarm system met code in its day. Once you start changing the fire alarm panel in 2018, that code from when the building was built, you might find you're opening Pandora's box, and you're not gonna be able to put her back in, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, no, we wouldn't want to do anything like that with central fire.
So as long as it's for all the town buildings. So as long as the fire alarm system is working, the town has a contract, the town's been paying its bill, then in my opinion, the town is fine for the town buildings.
That's all we need.
Done and done.
Okay. Anything else, anybody? Okay,
You still
don't go
on
away.
there. Don't stray too far.
We'll go to D, Fire Department, grant consultant agreement and equipment quote.
What that was, is that was my mistake. The fire department's going again for the SCBA grant. The grant is close to $300,000. Part of this bidding process for the grant, the town, if it is awarded, the town can recoup $1,500 for the assistant grant writer. So the fire chief had to sign it. I thought the board had to sign it, so I'm just letting the board know that I signed that document so we can get the grant process up and running. So if it gets awarded, there is a line item in the town, in the fire department's budget for the grant. I believe it says grant writer, there's a line item in there that's what the assistant's getting paid out of.
And for folks at home, SCBA, self-contained
Contained
breathing
breathing
apparatus.
As, just so the board knows, we've had 14 bottles this year taken out of service. At some point in time, if we don't get a grant, we're gonna have to do a line item. We're actually borrowing 14 spare bottles, hoping to get the grant. We have basically two bites at the apple
Yeah,
to
this
get a grant.
This continues to just blow my mind every time we bring these up, in that we push these to the edge. I mean, this
Oh,
is so the members of the fire department can breathe
Yeah.
in a fire.
They're pushed to
And
the
we
end.
We just push it to the edge, and we have to go after grants like this. So that's just a public service announcement. Take this video and play it again in March
Well,
for people. So.
One thing is the way the grant is structured. If we do go out and purchase any new equipment that we're asking for out of the grant, then we become null and void to get the grant.
Yeah,
So
right.
our hands are tied.
Yep.
Right.
So once we get two bites at the apple, once that's done, then we'll have no choice but to go to Plan B.
What's one of the bottles cost?
The grant to replace what we have, the entire system we have now is about $280-something thousand. That's what we're aiming for the grant. What was it?
287,201.
Thank you.
And that's for 14?
Oh, no, that's we had 14 tanks that went out of service. The remaining ones will end up going out of service, I think, in about 2 years. That grant is for all the harnesses, masks, everything else. As they're breaking, we're not replacing them. Unfortunately, the 14 bottles that the manufacturer came down this year and took out of service on us and red tagged them, we can't, when they drive out the driveway, we can't put them back due to liability, so they're sitting at Merrimack Road, all lined up there, because we can't do nothing with. So we were fortunate enough to hit 2 different vendors that we do business with, and they were nice enough to let us borrow some spare bottles to get us until we can get the grant.
That's for 28 units, it appears.
So it'd be 28, you'd double the bottles, 28 masks,
So it's about $10,000 per apparatus.
give or take.
Any idea when we'll hear about the grant, or
It just opened.
depends? Yeah.
It just opened. The first grant, we tried for in the spring, and unfortunately, the town of Newton did not have, compared to other departments, we didn't have enough runs. And the computer that does the first check didn't feel that the tanks weren't expired yet. We still had a year, some time to go. So we got kicked out of that first round. We're trying again for the fall, and then there should be another round in the spring.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Chief.
Thanks.
Good?
We're good.
Have a good evening.
Is that
You too.
everything for the fire department?
Well, just the battery for the generator at the fire station, but,
He's all set, he doesn't need
yeah,
to
we
be.
don't need you for
We
that.
don't need you for that.
Well, I hear fire station, the ears perk up.
That's all, you're all set.
It's just generator.
All right. All right, we'll move to E, firearm license renewal for David Morgan.
Mr. Chairman, I would license for David Morgan. In speaking with the police chief, there have been no incidences. This is I believe, either the second or the third renewal that we have had since he received his conditional use permit.
Second?
Discussion?
I think we already had the discussion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, go to F.
Aye. Sorry.
Okay.
It's close to home, so I had to think about it.
Okay, generator repair quotes. Town Hall battery, Newton Junction Fire Station battery, and Police Station engine leak.
So we had them come, Tri-State Generator came per our contract to do the preventive maintenance for these 3 generators. So the Town Hall battery is expired. It still works, okay? So it still runs, and so does the Junction Fire Station's battery still run. To replace it now would be like $130 some odd. If we wait till next year's preventive maintenance, it's $112. So you, basically what happens is if something happens during the winter and the generator doesn't start because the battery's dead, it'll cost us $130 if we do it during normal business hours, but if it's an emergency and it has to be done after hours, it'll be like $95 an hour plus the $130.
To me, I just think we should just get them repaired. I mean,
I just didn't understand the date on it. 20104, what kind of a date is that?
I'm not sure what you're looking at.
I was looking at the quotes, and it was saying that the batteries are outdated. They're recommended to be replaced every 24 to 36 months, and the batteries at Town Hall and the Junction Fire Station are dated 20104.
Which is 2014, is what she told me today.
That's 2014. So
Yep.
what's the O doing in the middle there? Okay. All right, so every 2 to 3 years, they recommend. It's been 4 years for a battery, is what we're saying.
I don't know how everybody else feels, but my opinion is why wait to see what happens? We need batteries, let's replace them.
My opinion is that the whole purpose of having a generator is so that when you lose power, you have power with the generator. If the battery won't start the generator, it kind of defeats the purpose.
Nice lawn ornament.
So I will move to authorize these people to install new batteries at Town Hall and Junction Fire Station generators.
Second,
Discussion?
I would just, who are these people?
Tri-Star generator, or Tri-State generators.
Perfect.
Okay.
I couldn't think of it off the top of my head.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the police station one, the engine is leaking.
It's leaking coolant.
Yeah, so it has to come off. The engine has to be taken off, and it's a lot more involved, so it takes 2 people. And if you look at the quote, you'll see it's a lot more expensive. It's $2,560.
So my understanding is there's a 7% PSI.
Don't ask me, this is what
leakage.
it says.
I'm just saying, this is
Okay.
my understanding. There's a 7 PSI leakage of the coolant, which means it spills out and it needs to be cleaned up. Unfortunately, that's because John Deere admits that they didn't use the best seal at the time of this model.
And there's no recall on it.
No. So they need to pull the engine cover, put a new seal in, put it back.
To me, again, maintenance is very important to me. If we have something happen next week, we lose power, that starts up, seizes because it overheats, we buy them a new generator. So to me, it's worth the money to replace it, the seal, get it fixed.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we expend $2,560 to repair the leak in the police station generator.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm going to be an aye, so we don't, so there's no like recourse here as far as previous maintenance caused this leakage, or what, we're just, it's wear and tear that we're thinking?
Essentially, and it wasn't the best materials used for the gasket at the time that it was
Yeah.
built.
Well, I was just gonna say, John Deere admits that they made a mistake, but it's,
But
Or
then,
that they improved the design.
okay.
Not that they made a mistake, they improved the design.
but they're not going to compensate for the old design.
Okay, so I'm an aye, so. I think-
Okay, so unanimous.
Yep.
Okay. Let's move down to town properties available to sell.
That's only on tonight because Andrea will be coming to the October 16th meeting because there's another issue that she, as the assessor, would probably answer questions for the board. So we just wanted you to take this opportunity to review and see if you want to start selling some of these properties.
I tried looking at the PDFs on the town-owned properties, and I'm not exactly sure which ones are based on address or rear or
The ones
map
that are
block, lot, et cetera.
highlighted in yellow, and then I think she had the map numbers with them.
Still not clear enough for me.
Well, I
So
have-
I need to,
I have the paper copies in my office,
All right.
so if you want to stop by.
do you have the spreadsheet as well?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep.
so a non-PDF version?
Yep.
That way I can like make notes on it as far as, this is Town Hall, this is Greenie Park, this is, this is in the middle of, property all the way around it, so you could say, yes, I want to sell it, but nobody's going to want to buy it because they can't get to it.
Right, it may be a
You know,
butters that might be interested.
Exactly, or this is conservation land, that sort of thing there. So those are the kind of notes that I need to have on there
Yep.
to know what properties that the town could actually put out on the market to get taxes on again.
Okay, so we can look at that stuff for
Yeah.
next selectmen's meeting.
But if you have any questions, October 16th, Andrea will be here so she can answer them.
Okay.
Okay, and I don't know why we get this every year, but we'll set the date for trick or treat.
I move that trick-or-treating happens on October 31st from 6 PM to 8 PM as usual.
Second.
Now, why would you
Discussion?
want to do that? I'm just kidding.
Can I-
Now,
Because
can-
that is Halloween.
Now, can I
Did we
make,
start a little earlier, 5?
5 to 8.
5 to
I thought
8?
we always did 5.
yeah, I think
We
so.
can do 5 to
Yeah.
8.
Yeah.
I do know I hear some flack because people haven't gotten out of work until 5, but I'm
Yeah.
good with 5 to 8. That gives the younger ones a little opportunity to be out before the older ones get out.
I have a littler one that needs to get out very early.
Noontime?
So
Exactly.
I accept the friendly amendment, 5 to 8 PM.
My suggestion would be that you just make this every year.
Permanent until the board decides to
rescinded by
change
the
it,
board.
right.
And we don't have to keep putting this on the agenda every
Yeah, I was
year.
going to do it after, on discussion.
So-
Diane could do it
But I
later.
actually,
motion
I kind of
and-
look forward, this is my favorite agenda item
All
of
right.
the year.
My
Well, don't forget Easter at the transfer
amended
station.
motion, to make it clear, is I move that the town of Newton celebrates trick-or-treating on Halloween, October 31, every year from 5 PM to 8 PM until board in the future determines otherwise.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye.
I think that's going to be on a warrant. I'm just kidding. I would also like to note, for people who haven't seen it already, more information to come, but Trunk or Treat will be the Saturday before. So I believe that's the 27th.
And the
something like
Boy
that.
Scout Halloween party for
It's the
the kids
26th.
is the Friday before the 26th.
So if you don't get enough candy on October 31st from going around your neighborhood, come on the 27th and you'll get plenty of candy. So
So 27th is
Don't get
trunk or
enough on
treat?
the 31st,
Yeah.
it's too late for
Yep.
the
Where's
27th.
that?
that's at the school,
At the school, yep.
so it'll be
Which school?
between the two, Memorial and
Okay.
Elementary.
In the field area where
Yeah,
you
same
work.
place we had Old Home Day.
And what was the other, the Boy Scouts?
Yes, the Boy Scouts is hosting their annual costume party at Memorial School on the 26th.
22nd.
No, the day before, that Friday.
26th, Friday.
Trunk or treats is 27th.
Oh,
but
26th.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Do I?
Okay, want to do aye?
I'll do I. So I would move per RSA 3195B to accept and expend unanticipated funds to the food pantry from the Newton Historical Society in the amount of $84. And if I could also add James Marino in the amount of $100 with
Second.
our thanks.
Seconded by Jim. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Jay,
Bob, can I make a suggestion that you deal with
The
the
Kubota?
transfer station
All
so
right.
he can go home?
all right, let's move down to M, transfer station. Repair cost of the Kubota tractor.
Pete Gagnon Transfer Station. Are we talking about the quote to repair the tractor?
What's the difference between the repair cost for the Kubota tractor and the quote to repair the Kubota tractor?
So the repair costs, you wanted to know how much you spent on this tractor
So far?
so far,
Over the
correct?
life
I
of-
was told some selectmen wanted to know what we've been paying since we first received the machine till now.
Yeah, that was me. So basically, we bought one, right?
No,
No,
it was a drug forfeiture.
No, we bought one.
Throughout all the repairs.
Well, with
Since
the repairs.
2003, we've bought a
Yeah.
Kubota. So that was my point in asking for those numbers, so.
I don't have this.
But then again, that's pretty cheap price, isn't it? If you go out and buy another tractor, aren't they a lot more than that?
Well, used, I don't know, Pete, it sounds like you've done some research, but it seems like 20K is around the,
For that model tractor, that's a good amount of money.
yeah.
Right, but the problem is that model tractor doesn't do the job you need it to do. You need a bigger model. What would the bigger model cost? Did you look into that?
I've looked into a bunch of used ones and around about 30, 40, some of the bigger ones,
That's
50,
on your shed.
60. And those are all used. I haven't looked at new models.
And we've had this for 15 years and spent under $23,000 in repairs in the 15 years.
I mean, the good news is, as Nancy said, is
Under
originally we didn't pay for it.
26,000.
Right.
So under 27,000.
Do we want to keep sinking more money into it? Or do we want to look at
Our problem
investing?
is the fact that we have no money to replace it with at this point. Looking at the prices of, that were supplied. As we come into the winter and holiday season, we need to have something there. I mean, we can't expect the
Did you
guys.
get anybody over the weekend? Mention it.
Yeah, I've had, I talked to Mike Bavaro about crushing our cans down when we're open during the weekend, and they really haven't been there. I know during the week they're replacing Chase Road, doing whatever,
very
and they just can't get to us.
Okay, but
I
Jim
had
was,
a dumpster that was stacked 5 feet over the top. I couldn't get anybody down there.
Jim was right in the middle of talking,
Sorry.
conversation got turned.
What I was saying is that since the period that we're coming into is sort of the end of the fiscal year, and the time when we will most need it, we have to repair. We can't just sit there and go, oh, you know, come January, February, we'll come up with some new plan. I hate the idea of throwing away $4,000 on repairs, but if we don't repair it, we'd better come up with a real quick plan on how to replace it.
So I mean, this is kind of the thing we go through with the fire department every couple of years, right? It's like we have to put the money into it, because if we don't repair it, we don't have it. But we still try, we put it on the warrant and say, can we buy a new, truck or whatever? Maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe we need to invest now, but on the warrant in March, we need to either add it to the,
It's a
budget
two-pronged
or,
approach.
yeah.
I
so,
would recommend taking it from the account that they have.
Why can't we use the recyclable fund?
That's what I'm talking about.
Does it have like 400,000 in it?
No, no.
I will move that we spend $4,042.76.
I meant to buy a new one.
We can't do that till after town meeting.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
Yeah,
To repair the
Gotta give
Even
Kubota.
out of recycle fund?
Got a vote, yep.
All right.
Okay, all in favor of the repair?
Aye.
So the only thing I would say, Pete, is plan on for March in your budget, some line item about, either a budget line item to trade this in and replace it with something.
Or find someplace on a line item you can transfer a few dollars here, a few dollars there into your repair line.
Or we go with a warrant article, which if I was a betting man, I would say will fail. that
Probably.
Right.
Says that, so, but we ought to take a look at least trying to budget it for next year, and so the residents would know, our expectation, I think, would be to trade in what we have towards something a little bigger that you can use.
And hopefully, while I don't expect we would get the repairs, the value of the repairs back on a trade-in, you get a whole lot more as a trade-in when you're trading in something that runs versus something that doesn't.
Yep.
Now, what about where we get the Humvees and stuff? How can we check into that to see if we can get a backhoe or something?
Last time I talked to Mike Pavero about that, and the chief Mike as well, what they told me was they go quick. It is like the number one sought after item, but they do look when they do look, so. But it's worth another reminder,
Right.
But
No. Oops, sorry.
the only other thing I would add, and I don't want to disparage any company, but the company we currently use to do these repairs is a good company that's very close by, and they know Kubota better than anything else. However, I do find, at least from my personal use, they are on the more expensive side, so I don't know how often we check around. I know they're kind of a no-brainer for us, because we've used them before, but we should think about, maybe seeing who else is available.
I agree.
So would the board be interested in doing a warrant article to come from that special fund rather than put it in the budget, raise the budget, and not have the budget pass?
I'm just worried where the people are going to come to vote, they're going to see the amount of money on a warrant article, even though it says at no cost to your
Right,
tax
but
rate, they're still going to say no.
What I'm saying, maybe not do 60,000 to offset the hauling cost, and maybe just put in whatever the new tractor is going to cost to do what it needs to do. Because I'm afraid if you put it in the budget, that could shoot the budget down, because the more the budget goes up,
Yep.
especially over the default budget, they're going to vote the default budget, and you're not going to get it anyway.
Of course, the other thing we can do, and this is just totally, I'm just kind of thinking out loud, is at the end of the year, we could take a look at what's available.
What's left?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yep.
That might be the way to go.
Yeah, plus if it was done as a warrant article, and even to come out of, if they said no, then it's not in the budget, it's not going to happen either.
Right, exactly.
So it still wouldn't happen, whether it was in the budget or as a
Yeah,
separate
but you
warrant
don't want to
article.
lose your budget over a tractor. That's
Right.
all I'm saying.
Okay, well, you have permission to get it fixed,
Okay.
and you have some homework to do.
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you, Pete.
Can I ask one more
Yep,
thing?
hold on, before,
What was voted downstairs hasn't been made public. Can we at least make that public about this person?
Actually, I think we should let that person know first before we make it public.
Well, he's technically off the clock now as of the end of September. So does he not report to work?
Well, that's a good point.
right,
And there's not a change in salary, so, do you have that one?
No, because I was told we weren't going to. However, is it Groder?
It's
Glover.
David
Glover.
Glover. We have extended David Glover's employment from October 1st to December 31st.
Okay. let him know.
I was just gonna say, you might wanna let him know if you want him to show up on Thursday.
Tell him he has to, we've made it.
I told him
Maybe
he'd be
an
getting a
announcement.
call from me either way.
So
Okay.
you'll let them know. Okay, thank you.
Okay, before we go back to the agenda here, Ziggy, are you here for any reason, or? Okay, are you here for something? Okay, we'll jump back on the agenda then, we'll go to... You said no.
To what? Adding one,
I know the chief isn't here, but I've told him, we forget the junction station. We don't own it, but there's $1 million worth of equipment in there. And since the siren died 5 years ago, that was like a mechanical device that went off. If a heat detector would melt something and it'd make the siren. We have no protection there for those trucks. I know it is in our building, but if you had to replace those 2 trucks, $1 million. I was wondering if you could consider that in your fire alarm. It needs something.
are you saying there is no fire alarm system there?
It was a homemade thing made 40, 50 years ago.
It was just a horn that went off, right?
That old-fashioned crank siren up there that somebody put some relays together. Yeah, we have nothing now. So I was just wondering if somebody would look into, extending the fire alarm to there.
Supposed to look into
It sounds like we're keeping the building. I know sometimes you guys don't think of it because you got so much going on, but I live across from it, a lot of people depend on that station.
I'm wondering whether or not, once we have moved into the new fire station, the old alarm can be removed from the central station and taken over there.
Possibly. It doesn't need to be centrally, it's in a place where everybody's going to see and hear it if it goes off.
I suspect the building is named in honor of the person who worked and created that fire alarm.
Could have been. It's even before my time, and I'm old.
But it's not something that can be decided on tonight
Right.
because we don't own the property. So anything that we would like to have done or think we need to have done, we would actually also need to get permission from the owners to do it. So it would require some more research and investigation.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, Jay, review 2019 budget submission schedule.
I like it.
Well, the only thing you have to look at is November 6th.
Yeah, the alternate.
What do you want to do that day?
General election day, need an alternate.
What about doing, like the Monday, the 5th?
I have a
Oh, we'd have to
question.
do it downstairs because they'd be...
Yeah, we could do a working meeting.
When you work the polls, do you always have to be up here?
No.
So I know in the past, several years ago, the selectmen on election day would hold an hour meeting or something downstairs in the office, and if you were needed up here, then they would just come up. So you could still do it if you're all here.
We could actually have it here in the hall in the corner or something.
Because technically it is a town meeting.
Right, I mean, it has to,
Yeah, but
as
with
far as I know,
elections,
it's,
we
It has to be
can
an
do
agenda.
that.
There has to be an agenda that says that's what we're doing, but we could do it in the building. We just have to be in the building, or on site. We could be outside,
we just have to announce what time we're gonna be doing it.
Right, right.
I kind of like Matt's first idea is a work meeting maybe Monday night for an hour.
In the office downstairs,
Yes, right.
because they'll be setting up the booths up here.
Well, looking
Yeah,
at
and
the
we have
items
tax
that are gonna be
collector.
on that, I'm guessing that it would take about a half an hour.
Yeah, but I can't see a couple of them being able to participate. Elections, registrations, vital statistics, tax collector. So having that on election day would be a little,
Well, no, that means the town clerk has to come for a couple of minutes and say, yeah, this is what I did to my budget.
Or we could move it to a different date. Doesn't have to be on that day.
How about the 12th? Would that be Monday, the 12th, for, whatever it is? If it takes us a half hour, we go home, but 6 to 7, and then Jim needs to come upstairs, right? for planning board.
Yeah, no, I'm good with that.
I'm good with that.
And then as we know from past experience, we'll probably be pushing some out. So there'll be some other date added
Yeah,
at some point.
we need the wiggle room.
Yeah.
Okay.
So November 12th, starting at 6.
Sounds good
Yep.
to me.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the November 6th is moving, okay.
And all the rest are okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
Juggle them as needed.
okay.
All right, let's go to K. Memo to the treasurer, release of letter of credit of Puzzle Lane.
I've got this one. The last planning board meeting, the planning board voted to unanimously to recommend the selectmen release the road maintenance bond for Puzzle Lane. Therefore, I would move to release the letter of credit to 125 Development Corp. For the Puzzle Lane road maintenance bond in the amount of $68,954.55.
Second.
Just one thing I'll let you know, we're not actually holding cash. This is a letter of credit. So while it's a negotiable document, there is no interest that accrues.
Okay, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, L, request from Troop 91 to collect food for Newton Food Pantry. Anybody know-
That's just what the letter is.
Do we have a date or time or
They just want to go
location?
around, put door hangers, yes, it's November 10th.
November 3rd,
They're picking up on the 10th.
yeah, so November 3rd, they'll drop something off to you in your mailbox, and then November 10th, they'll come by and pick it up.
This is a National Scout food drive. So one week they go out, they put door hangers on saying, hey, we're going to be coming by next week. Any food you want to donate, put in a bag, leave outside, we'll pick it up on this date.
Where does the food go?
The request is the donations would be delivered to the Newton Food Pantry.
Oh, good. Wonderful.
So they're just making it easy for Newton residents to donate to the Newton Pantry by coming to collect.
Sounds good.
So do we need a motion to authorize
I will
or
move,
to sign the application, the permit?
I will move that we sign the application in the affirmative for the
Food drive.
Scouting for Food Drive.
Second.
Discussion?
Only one comment I would make, that's because we won't see it again. I do hope that they ask people not only to give human food, but occasionally pet food. Because that is one thing that is very difficult to accumulate.
And-
Okay.
And I can also say, I'm looking at the food pantry right now, and the shelves look kind of empty, so this is a great opportunity to clean out your cabinets and also do some good for some people.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I'll jump down to announcements that M&M Operating Company, they're going to be cutting the vegetation maintenance along natural gas pipeline. That goes right through 108, down through Wallace. Where else did I go down through? Peasley Crossing.
Okay.
So if you see people out there cutting, they're supposed to be out there.
I also have a quick announcement for those who have seen the signs. This Saturday is the town-wide yard sale. So it's a bit of an experiment because we've never done it with this Recreation Commission. So it's as easy as sending an email to the rec email, which you can find on the website. And all you have to do is get on the list, and we'll publish the list so you can set up outside. Long-range forecast is looking like a very sunny fall day, so it might be a good day to do it. So your job is to clean out your cupboards with food, give them to the scouts, and then all your other stuff in your closets, you can have a yard sale in front of your house. So How's that?
Just one more announcement too, is that Monday is Columbus Day, the town hall will not be open.
Yeah,
It's on the
Okay,
announcements.
all right, just didn't know,
You
sorry.
just said it, so we're gonna scratch that one.
Sorry.
I make a motion to sign vendor manifest dated 10/2/18 in the amount of $118,258.72.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to sign new fire rescue station manifest dated 10/2/18 in the amount of $41,410.21.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye. And make a motion to sign payroll manifest for pay period 9/16/2018 to 9/29/2018 with the pay date of 10/4/2018.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any other business?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.